Since working in the 1980s with geometric abstraction, what people call relational abstraction, going back to influences from, say, Mondrian and these Russian avant-garde artists, I always try to use the minimum number for the maximum effect. And so I wasn't a minimalist, I was an essentialist, I think you would say. I'm after a kind of clarity with the minimum amount necessary to reach something that is visually, philosophically important to me, and hopefully to other people. To boil it down to one color, one field, it was because of these particular metallics and the interference pigments, which are enough by themselves. You didn't need the other relationships. It's misleading, though, to call these interference colors monochrome because they do shift in color. They're monopigment, but that's a kind of awkward way to describe them. I can't go around saying I'm a monopigment painter, you know. And I've never really liked the term monochrome painter either. I still like the word essential. The interference pigments, the peculiar thing about those is that they shift color depending on the source of light. So they reflect different wavelengths from different directions. And if there were natural light in this building, for instance, during the day these would change because the sun would be in a different relationship to the building. And even now, with artificial light, you walk around, and from one side they're going to look a little different than the other, sometimes dramatically so, and sometimes more subtly. So that's what attracted me to these pigments. The color becomes indeterminate. And it seemed to me that indeterminacy was, in the 20th century when I first started to work on these, one of the characteristics of our science and of our culture. Relativity and uncertainty and changing relationships and at least in scientific terms, no absolute except perhaps the speed of light, which also kind of figured into my use of these because they are so responsive to light that light became, to me, the most important aspect of these paintings. This is certainly not unique with me. Artists going back to Turner and earlier and the Impressionists, oh my God, an artist, think of the Middle Ages where the artist created illumined manuscripts. I mean, what do you think that means? You know, light has always been one of the primary underlying subject of art in the West. And so I'm a small part of a very large tradition. But it does seem to me that in this kind of abstraction, the light is the main subject. These colors, the interference colors, can be extremely seductive, too decorative almost. And so one of the things I like to do is contradict the shift from one color to another that you see as you move around here that is not that decorative, so that there's a counterbalance between the too beautiful and almost the ugly in some cases, the color that I balance it with. I don't think red necessarily symbolizes the devil or blood or anything like it. It's entirely different when you're thinking in terms of light and color appetite and exploring what happens with a certain color until you've examined it and move on. I did a long series of those because I became intoxicated with that particular color, but then you get tired of it and move on to another one. Desmond Morris, the anthropologist who famously taught Congo the chimpanzee to paint as an experiment in the London Zoo, discovered that what they would do with Congo is dip a brush in a color and hand it to him, and he had the choice of accepting the color or not. And he would get tired of a color and refuse the brush if it was handed to him too often. So he wanted variety. I'm like Congo.
This video has been made possible by the Wyoming Arts Council and the UW Art Museum Gala Funds.